we're just interrupting you briefly to have a chat about the Enjoy an Album Patreon. We launched this recently. It's $5 a month, and for that, you get 2 extra episodes per month. You also get, and you'll enjoy this, I'm sure, an ad-free experience. You can listen to the episodes without this advert that you're hearing right now, which is probably annoying.
Never want to hear this again? Easily done.
Yep, and no more Manscaped or other sponsorship adverts. You just get the episode. You also get normal episodes 24 hours before everybody else. If you can't wait for that, Enjoy an Album top-level banter. And also, we've got loads of other exciting things planned for the Patreon, some long deep dives and other things. If you use Apple Music or Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts, you can get a special RSS feed. So all of the podcasts, the Patreon and non-Patreon, go to a new place. Unfortunately, Spotify don't do that because they are dicks. But yeah, sign up to the Patreon. Also, more than anything else, is the best way to support the podcast. There's like 100 episodes now that are free. If you like us doing it, if you like listening to it, the best way to make sure that it continues for as long as you want to listen to it is to sign up. It's a $5 a month, or there will be a tier for $10 a month if you are Ultrasound. I think we'll call them the Ultra Enjoy an Album Ultras.
I think that's unclear. Become an Enjoy an Album Ultra for £5 a month, and you can be a Slim Cock Bumblebee Balls for $10 a month.
Yes.
Easy done. The first 2 Patreon exclusive episodes are Robbie Williams' Sing When You're Winning and Iron Maiden, The Number of the Beast.
Yes, they're both up, ready, waiting for you to listen. They'll stay there forever. So if you're listening to this in 6 months' time, then there's an extra 6 months worth of episodes. But those are the ones that are already up there as well. So yeah, sign up to the Patreon, enjoy the pod, keep listening to albums, and peace and love in the new millennium.
That's mine.
Yeah, I know, but I thought I'd try saying
man.
it. Okay, right. Hey.
Peace and love. No, you do it. You do
Okay.
it.
Patreon and love in the new millennium. Hello, and welcome to the Enjoy an Album podcast with Liam Withnail and Christopher MacArthur Boyd. Boyd. Honk, 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 honk. Honk.
Honk, honk, honk.
Honk.
Couple of goosies here.
Yeah.
Coming at you.
Couple of untitled goose games.
I meant to start this intro by going whoop, whoop. Because that's what juggalos introduced each other to. If you're
I wish you'd said this in the episode. It would have given me something else to hate. Whoop whoop.
That's the sound of the beat.
Yeah, but that's not their song.
No, it's not their song. It's another person's song. No, they would go whoop whoop, and it's like that's how they say.
Maybe we should come up with a way that Enjoying Album fans can recognise each other. You know.
Anytime you hear someone say peace and love in the new millennium, you know they are an ultra.
Right, that's your thing though, isn't it? I feel a bit excluded from that. There's like a CMB.
You can say it if you want.
I don't want to say it. I want something new that's for all of us.
You've got your
You
thing.
might be able to sense there's still a little bit of post-episode tension because we argue quite a bit in this episode about the merits or lack thereof of the Insane Clown Posse.
Do you like anything that's bad?
What do you mean? What does that mean?
Stuff that's generally considered to be bad. Do you like anything that's like bad? Or are you completely mind brainwashed by the powers that be?
No. I think there probably is stuff that people don't like.
I'd say Metallica is bad.
No.
The classic albums are good, but a lot of the stuff's bad, but I love it. A lot of films that are bad. I like Jingle All the Way.
I like Jingle All the Way.
There you go. Trash culture.
Yeah.
Although it does have Phil Hartman in it, who's a legend.
Often if I think something is bad, then I don't like it. I know it's a hot take, but I don't like things that I think are bad.
No, things that are generally considered to be bad. In the same way that people go, oh, Nando's, that's so overrated.
I like Nando's.
I like Nando's.
Well, there you go.
Do you think it's overrated?
Probably.
So you're aware that there's a general consensus about things that doesn't necessarily reflect the way you feel about it?
I don't read like reviews of movies, for example, before I see the film, okay? Because I don't want to be influenced by that. Mm-hmm. So there's plenty of stuff that everyone thinks is good that I watch and I go, I must have been watching a different film or I must have been watching a different TV show. I've been watching The Bear. Have you seen that?
It's bad.
Everybody's coming their pants about this show. I watched it. It is distinctly average, okay?
Like Uncut Gems a wee bit. It's quite
right.
Scary or
but
stressful.
It's not as scary or stressful as good as Uncut Gems. Mm-hmm. Is Uncut Gems done kind of badly? Someone's watched Uncut Gems and
that
gone,
sounds good. I like that.
I should go and see that. Or Boiling Point, the Stephen Graham one-shot film on Netflix. set in a restaurant, and it's all about the stresses of doing a restaurant, is what the bear was trying to do, but better done. Okay,
Right.
so like, you know,
So you've seen things that are generally thought of as good and thought that they were bad.
yeah. But have I seen the opposite? It's hard to think of an example off the top of my head because in my head I don't see it as bad because obviously I see it as good.
But I can have things in my head and go, do you know, most people would say that's bad. I liked it.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of an example. I'm sure that there are, though. You know, I don't agree with the consensus about everything. You know, there's things I don't like. We've been through quite a few. We went through the list, you know, and there's lots of things on there that everyone thinks is good that I don't like. So I know we're trying to think of the opposite.
Things that
I know we're trying to think of the opposite, but we're not. We haven't done a podcast about the top 500 worst albums of all time, and I've gone, oh, actually, that's good. You know. So I don't know. I'll have to find.
Yeah, look inside your soul a wee bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, as you can tell, very stressful episode. I had a blast this week listening to Insane Clown Posse, watching the shockumentary on YouTube. I think you should watch that before you listen to this.
I don't think you should. I don't think you should spend any more time with the Insane Clown Posse than you need to.
Thank you for listening to Enjoy an Album.
Yeah, and if you don't enjoy an album, that's okay too. Okay.
But if you did, please leave a review on Apple Music or Spotify. Haven't said to do that in a while, but I've noticed that we've got more listeners, and yet the reviews very steady, 48.
Wow. So maybe you guys need to pick up the slack a little bit in terms of Reviewsville. If you maybe
Don't leave a 4-star as a joke.
no,
So many people have done. And don't leave a 1-star sincerely because you love the Everly Brothers and you thought we weren't take them seriously enough.
Yeah, that meant the Isley Brothers. That's what you meant.
And don't hate the new direction of the podcast now that we've pivoted to video, and then leave it going, it used to be better when we done the list and now they just listen to stuff they like. Obviously not if we're doing this week and then Liam fucking wets his pants about the fucking moral panic at Satanist clown rap from Detroit in the 90s. Jesus Christ. Leave a fucking 5-star review or don't leave a review at all, you weasel. Anyway, thanks for listening, man. Great to have some ultras in the house.
Big up. That's the new thing.
Oh God,
That's the new
not
thing.
the new thing.
Big up, but you have to really up. Big up. The enjoyment.
That's the fucking racism police coming to pick you up, Ali G. Jesus Christ in hell, man.
The
Check out my new catchphrase.
the,
He's going big up. What the fuck's that?
The racism police is just the police, by the way.
No, it's a racist police.
yes.
And kill the piggies, please.
Okay. Hey, enjoy the week, and we'll see you next time.
Enjoy.
This episode of Enjoy an Album is brought to you by our friends at Manscaped, the #1 products for below the belt grooming. Fellas, if you need a little spruce up in your downstairs department, you can do no better than getting some Manscaped products in your life. They sent us the kits out. We've showed them here before. We've used them. If you have ever had a little go at having a little tidy up downstairs with your razor maybe or your beard trimmer, you've more than likely had a little nip. You've maybe caught yourself.
Your Johnson looks like fucking Freddie Voorhees' face. Is
Who's
that the
that?
guy's name?
Who's that?
Fred Voorhees.
Who is that?
Jason Voorhees. Your face looks like Freddie Voorhees is when Freddie and Jason had a baby.
Freddy
Krueger.
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Shit.
Anyway,
Your dick looks like Freddy Krueger's dick.
if you don't want your penis to look like a horror character's penis, unnamed, then you got to use the right equipment, and the right equipment is your Manscaped lawnmower. Okay, so you're getting down with another person, and they take off your pants. What do you want them to see? Do you want them to see a big bloody hairy mess, or do you want them to see a nice, smooth, sculpted? Hey, this person takes care of themselves and is hygienic. The lawnmower plugs in, same charger as my phone. Very handy.
Yeah. You're on the train. Charge it up.
Use that little thing on the train. Go to
See
the
when
train
it has
bathroom.
that sign that says only for phones and laptops. It's
Yeah.
expressly so as you don't charge your dick groomer.
Yep. Also, Manscaped, they have the nose hair trimmers.
That's actually class, man. Obviously, all the dick shaving stuff's good as well, but yeah, man, my nose was a state and my ears were a state. And now they look dynamite.
Yes, they sure do. I've been thinking about your nose recently, and I think it looks much better. Also, they do the most comfortable boxers. I don't think I told you this, but after speaking about how comfortable the boxers were, my partner used the album code to buy some of the boxers for me for Christmas. So now I have like 5 different pairs of them. It's all I wear is the
I'm
Manscaped
jealous of
boxers.
that.
Yeah, very, very comfortable.
They
all
are
the time.
very comfy, actually. Mm-hmm. They are very comfy.
And it all comes in a nice sort of wash bag, nice leather wash bag.
My old wash bag, man, you know. I had this wash bag for ages.
My old wash bag.
My old wash bag down in the docks. Played bass for Iron Maiden in 1978.
So if you want to support the podcast, one of the ways you can do it is get yourself some grooming gear. You get something out of it. Use the code ALBUM20. You get 20% off. That then supports us, helps us with the sponsor. Everyone is happy. Least of all, your 2 lovely nuts. I believe you can use the product.
And listen, I know we have a lot of ladies who listen. And you're thinking, you know, I don't feel like you're advertising it to me. Buy this for a guy.
Buy it for your partner.
Do you have any men in your life?
The thing. Sometimes men feel
You don't want
embarrassed.
to say, do you have any men in your life? But if you have a dad or a cousin that you're close with, or, a brother, partner, husband, boyfriend.
Any different relationship that you can think of.
Maybe you're close friends with a man who's on your swimming team and you think he could be more aerodynamic or smoother for the swim.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe you're
another
planning
example.
the Tour de France and you're worried that the pubic hair is going to slow down your cycling team. You thought about that?
No longer.
Album 20. Thanks so much. You're listening to Enjoy an Album, the podcast where 2 comedians listen to some of the greatest albums of all time. Family and friends don't always understand, but some albums you have to keep, if only to prove they actually exist. Yes, there truly are records called Elvis songs sung in Latin and background music for home movies. Both of them proudly reside in my collection, where they were joined 3 years ago by the collected works of the Insane Clown Posse. Imagine 2 goofballs from Detroit in circus jester makeup rapping inane songs about cannibalism and genitalia. Sure, the music was awful, the rapping cloddished, the macabre elements amateurish, but how could you not want dumb fun records like this in your home? So that was the only thing resembling a blurb I could find for this
I
record.
found a list of the greatest Insane Clown Posse albums ranked by the Williamette Express.
Which is what?
I don't know what that is, but I'd imagine it's some kind of Michigan-based culture mag.
Right.
But they didn't even like this record, which is crazy because producer Coben said, if you're looking for albums to talk about,
If you're looking for albums to talk about, I got one for you, son. It's called Insane Clown Posse, and it sounds like bum.
right, I disagree with that. I disagree with this jester, David Brown, for Entertainment Magazine in 1997. Yeah, it's not a very nice blurb, is it? How would you explain this record to... I won't actually ask that because I know it's going to be a negative response. Here's how I would say it.
No, I'm going to answer.
Okay.
2 frat boys.
Fat boys?
Frat boys. 2 fat boys. 2 frat boys.
One of them's
sitting-
fat, one of them's not.
Yeah, fat energy.
Shaggy 2 Dope is...
2 frat boys rapping like children about trying to achieve gross out humor.
Trying to achieve gross out humor?
Achieving
Yeah.
gross out humor. You know when South Park came out?
This is the exact same time as South Park.
Yeah.
Attitude Era WWF. Car Crash TV.
So like the criticism of South Park from people who had never watched it were like, isn't it just kids swearing? Which on its own, funny.
It is funny, but it was a bit deeper than that.
Almost one of the best satires. Like genuinely,
Yeah.
South Park consistently like hit satirical heights that nowhere else really has been in the last few years. Anyway, this, however, is just kids swearing.
Disagree. I think there's a depth to this that
Yeah.
Dave Brown isn't mentioning and that you're not mentioning.
Yeah,
I think
because
there's an absolute depth. What was the first time you ever heard the Insane Clown Posse?
this week
You kidding on?
I'd heard of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I remember
would
when
you-
they hit the news because their group, known as the Juggalos, were like legally classed as a gang. So I remember that, and I've seen they kind of crop up on. You see like coverage of big juggalo events where they're all wearing like face paints.
It's called the Gathering of the Juggalos.
Yeah. So
An annual event, an annual festival.
My throat made a noise. That's normally your thing.
It's usually my thing.
It's because I'm drinking iron brew. Maybe it's an iron brew noise. So that's my awareness of the Insane Clown Posse. What did you know about them prior to this week?
So
this was Coben's suggestion, wasn't it? Is his favorite band?
Oh no, not even close.
Favorite band. Coben's favorite band that he loves. He's got.
Coben has the clown paint on. You can't see him because he's not on camera.
Yeah. And he's inversed it, so it's not white face paint. It's black. He's blacked up. Coben has blacked up for the pod.
Oh fuck.
He's gone full juggalo. So were you a big fan of this?
I tell you what, I'd never listened to them properly until this week.
Right.
Here's my history with the Insane Clown Posse.
Yep.
They are very much, just like you were saying, South Park, late 90s, trash culture, car crash TV, gross out humour.
Jackass.
Oh, huge Jackass. Yeah, that whole movement that I'm a big fan of. They were actually really involved in wrestling. Same kind of audience at the time, Attitude Era, WWF. They were in WWF and the Attitude Era as part of a faction called the Oddities. But they were also in WCW, where they were kind of compadres of Vampiro, who's a kind of vampiric Canadian wrestler who was huge in Lucha Libre.
Can I just say that when I was doing the research for this, when it got into wrestling stuff, I decided I'm not going to read a word of this. I'm going to let Christopher take the reins on the wrestling front because it's pointless. Me reading all this, you know it all. You're going to tell me anyway. Yeah. So they're wrestlers. They were wrestlers before they were rappers.
They were backyard wrestlers. They were untrained, but they became famous through their music.
I was a backyard wrestler.
Were you?
Me and my friends had a little wrestling federation.
Yeah, me too.
My name was the Tornado.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting because the human Tornado, the wrestler who was in the film Nacho Libre with Jack Black.
Yeah, he got his idea from me.
Okay. Did you also invent the spinning pimp slap?
Well, my finishing move was I would spin around and hit someone, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
My friend Patrick was Patrick the Tin Man.
That's Wizard of Oz. What was his Tin Man character? He's just really stiff.
He was like a Stone Cold rip-off, but he was called the Tin Man.
What? What do you mean he was a Stone Cold rip-off?
Well, that was how he acted and how he dressed.
Stone Cold's a Stone Cold psychopathic killer. That's why he's Stone Cold.
You know what else is cold? Tin.
It's not his main attribute, though, is it? Oh, man. You seen that trained assassin? He's like tin?
And the tin is what? Oh, no, the tin is... What's the Tin Man's negative thing in Oz? Is that he's stupid? Is that it?
If I only had a brain.
Yeah, he doesn't have a brain.
Yeah.
It's not a great wrestler. I'm a wrestler. What's your thing? I have no brain.
Although they had a wrestling like that. His name was Ryback. That's a wee shout out for people who know who Ryback is.
I fucking love Ryback.
Yeah.
Feed
me more. Feed me more. He was always hungry.
Is that good? Oh, what's your thing? Oh, I'm hungry.
Yeah, he's a bad guy. So they were kind of in that. Then they started their own wrestling federation as ECW died, Extreme Championship Wrestling, in the early 2000s, Juggalo Championship Wrestling. And the thing is...
Did you watch that?
No.
Championship.
Yeah. They then changed it to Championship so they could put posters up around town.
God.
But they would have Championship Wrestling at the gathering of the Juggalo events. Human Tornado was there. You're a big inspiration, or someone who ripped you off. Also people like Sabu, Raven, really respected, influential hardcore wrestlers.
Raven had a CBBC show as well.
That's so Raven.
Yeah.
He was always, it was like a normal kind of black American family, and then this goth guy would just come in swinging a steel chair about, quoting Edgar Allan Poe. It was insane.
Yeah.
So they had Juggalo Championship Wrestling, which I only heard about in like biographies of wrestlers. I was like, wait, who is this? So they were involved in that. Also, they had a DVD that came out called Stranglemania, where they imported hardcore barbed wire, exploding deathmatch, Japanese wrestling, Cactus Jack, Terry Funk. They had these wars in FMW, Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, and then they imported them over, and then they would do kind of what's that TV show called where the robots watch? Mystery Theater.
Yeah, Mystery Science Theater.
Mystery Science Theater 3000. They would do they had these two characters who were wrestling commentators, and they would do funny voiceovers for. So it's actually really influential in getting that hardcore style into America. So I respect them from a wrestling point of view for sure. And a lot of the wrestlers, it's interesting that the carnival background of Insane Clown Posse, there's a term for wrestlers who they're called carnies because it started as a kind of sideshow attraction wrestling where people would show up and you would fix a match to make a guy look beatable. You'd get a guy in who was a professional wrestler, carny style, and then you would challenge people in the crowd and they would see this guy struggle against that guy. They would pay money and then the guy it's like a pool shark. He's hustling people. That's how wrestling started.
And then beating people up.
So it's interesting how kind of carnival culture comes through. It's something I'm interested in.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get into the... Glad I asked. We'll get into the carnival motifs.
The other time that I heard of these guys was a couple of years ago. I'd never heard their music. I'd only seen their wrestling, and they're very well respected within wrestling. They always pay the acts. They never fuck anybody over.
Are they really? Are they quite well? Because I thought so when I read a bit about the wrestling thing, which wasn't much, as I say, because I knew you would take the lead on that. I guess I assumed that it was like not that serious. Do you know what I mean?
Not that serious.
Yeah, like that. It was a bit.
In terms of tone, it wasn't that serious.
Like we just recorded the Iron Maiden episode, and they released like a beer thing. You know what I mean?
Trooper.
Yeah, and like I'm sure it's like a fine beer or whatever, but it's not like
You're buying it for the label.
that's it. It's like
Aren't
just
you buying most craft beer
it's
for
just
the
an
label?
extra fun branding thing. Whereas this sounds like the wrestling is like a big part of it.
It was a similar demographic, young suburban white males who feel like outcasts. This is, you probably like wrestling if you like clownish rap metal. So another way I heard of them for the first time was when they brought that song Magnets out. Remember, did you ever hear that? They're in white suits. This was like a viral thing. This song. This was like after the commercial peak. And they came out with this song. They were like, motherfucking magnets. How the fuck do they work?
Oh, yeah.
Scientists always lying and telling me shit.
Yeah,
And it was a kind of angry song about the miracles of the universe.
Being
like
like
all the beautiful things, like a butterfly. Do you know there's a beautiful thing about Shaggy 2 Dope? Where, and this is one of the things that made me love him. When he was a teenager, he captured a butterfly in a jar and he forgot to put holes in the lid. He came back the next day and the butterfly was dead. And now every single creative project he's ever done has been dedicated to the butterfly.
Well, that's so stupid. We should.
How is that stupid? That's beautiful.
We should introduce him. You've said one of his names, Shaggy 2 Dope.
Shaggy 2 Dope and Violent J. Which do you think is a reference to Silent J?
Well, which one? When was Silent J around?
Silent Bob. J and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
So is Violent J a reference to those two combined?
Well, when did that come out? James
Clerks came out in 1990. 20th anniversary was in 1994, I think.
Yeah, so I think they and their names predate that.
Wait, it would have been the 10th anniversary in 2003?
Yeah, anyway, I don't think that's what it is referencing.
It could be.
Yeah, Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope are the two main guys in Insane Clown Posse. They weren't always Insane Clown Posse. They started as the Inner City Posse.
Oh yeah,
which is interesting because the name of West Ham United's hooligan firm was the Inner City firm. Just saying.
maybe I should start a wrestling podcast and you should start a West Ham podcast.
I don't think anybody would listen to either. They were known as the Inner City Posse when they were young lads. They did come from like very hard backgrounds. In fact, we'll just. I mean, I'm going to talk about it now. Might as well do the jingle.
Secret Posho.
Can we do we're doing a hip hop record. Can we do the hip hop one?
Secret Posho. Secret Posho. You do it fast and it feels like not show. Got no money, you got dash bro. Secret Posho.
So Violent J's dad left when he was young, and he stole all his mum's money.
Right.
Jay, Violent Jay, and Violent Mum were stuck together.
I don't think her name was Violent Mum.
Well, she's Violent Jay's mum. She worked as a janitor at a school.
No Posho.
They had to rely on food drives, which is it's like a food bank, isn't it? It's
I think
you
in
bring it to
America
a
they
school.
don't have food banks, they have food stamps. But food drives was in addition to food stamps, I think. So
it's like something that to do with your high school. It's like bring a can to anyway. They had to rely on those things to get food, and they had to they were called rummage sales to get clothes.
America's a nightmare.
So-
So we're following in the footsteps in this failed state of a country.
Yeah. He left school and joined the inner city posse gang, and they would terrorize locals with tear gas and steal car radios. Oh, this is what I remember saying. That I had a funny story about my dad that I wanted to talk about. And this is it.
You know, your cousin's Violent J. I used to buy him beer.
No, I remember
I used to buy him Fago.
when my dad got his. My dad came home once, and when he was at the post office, working as a postman,
Charles Bukowski, your heart out.
and he shot 15 people. No, he
I remember your dad shot up that school. That was crazy.
he was on. He went postal. He was on his walk. You know, his delivery route. And he came back to his car and it had been broken into and his stereo had been nicked. But more infuriating to him was that his lunch sandwich had been stolen. And I don't care about the stereo. I could get another stereo, but I was fucking hungry. I want my fucking sandwich. I'm not about to make an order, go buy a fucking sandwich. I'm fucking starving.
I mean, you can buy sandwiches.
Well, yes, you can. Completely unnecessary thing to be mad about. Anyway,
Remember my mum's car got burnt down at Easterhouse train station?
it got burnt down.
Yeah, some boys set it on fire.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
I mean, you used to get burned out cars
Except-
all around Dagenham. I've never heard it described as burned down though. It sounds like a building.
What would you say? Some people set fire to a car.
Yeah, burned out.
Yeah. I mean, burnt out cars, they don't just start burned out. They have to burn
Oh, sure,
initially.
sure. And I guess they do burn down a bit.
And the real thing, I don't know if she was upset. She was probably upset because like it was very expensive to get a new car and stuff. You know, I don't know about the insurance at the time, but I just remember being sad.
Was there a
because-
sandwich in the back?
No, what happened was, what's the thing called above the boot? Like, do you know that thing that like at the top of a boot?
Right.
Do you know in the back of a car?
Yeah.
And like you got the window here, and then there's like a little shelf.
Yeah.
We had a good.
The bookshelf.
I don't think it's called the bookshelf.
I mean, do you drive?
I don't drive.
Well, me neither.
Yeah. What's that called at the back of a car?
Why are you asking me again? I've just improvised bookshelf.
Right. So on the bookshelf from Halfords, and I remember buying this, we got. Do you know how Shaun the Sheep? Before Shaun the Sheep, he was just the sheep from Wallace and Gromit. We had him
Right.
with his little jumper on from the version of Wallace and Gromit where he becomes like a knitting person.
Yeah.
And I just remember picturing that wee sheep
On fire.
on fire, burned out.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
But that sheep burned down.
Yeah. No fun. No fun at all.
Well, that's the sort of fun that Violent J used to have. That's the sort of thing he used to do for kicks. Shaggy Too Dope. Not much information about him or his background, but similar. He joined the Inner City Posse with Violent J. There was a third one as well, who is now dead.
R.I.P. to a legend.
Yeah, they
Down with the clown till they're in the ground. That's what I say.
they were releasing like sort of gangster rap tracks and performing at local nightclubs, and it wasn't going very well for them. They were losing money. It was costing them more money to, almost like this podcast. It was costing them more than they were bringing in.
Let's not have our brand be financial failure, please.
Yeah,
I feel
okay.
like that's
The
reinforced.
less association we can have with the Insane Clown Posse, the better.
No, well, I don't mind that.
So there was this other rapper around called Eshan.
Akbar?
No. Not him, who had sort of developed what he called the kind of horrorcore,
Horrorcore.
where he would rap a lot about Satan.
Scary. It was the aesthetics of heavy metal music, but with the sound of hip hop.
Yeah, and basically they thought, we're not doing very well because we're doing gangster rap, and everybody's doing gangster rap. We should do what Eshan is doing. Let's steal that.
I had the same thing when I seen him doing stand up about being a Muslim. I was like, I should do that, man, you know. And then turns out you have to be a Muslim for that to work.
Otherwise, the woke millennials will spit out their avocado milkshakes.
My two-hander with Jim Davidson has been picketed simply because I refused to stop telling jokes about Islam. That's not true.
And no, tickets are on sale.
Can't say it. They throw you in jail just for saying you're English.
You can't say anything because you're drinking coffee.
Yeah.
It's too hard to say things when you're drinking. So yeah, they basically copied it and they said, we're just not going to say the word Satan, and that's going to be the difference. And then thus the Insane Clown Posse, they changed it. They wanted to keep the ICP, Inner City Posse, but they needed to change it a bit. And then one of them had a nightmare about being chased by a clown. We've all had that nightmare.
Very similar to how Iron Maiden came up with Number of the Beast.
Yeah.
And how Black Sabbath came up with Black Sabbath.
Lots of nightmares writing songs. And thus the Insane Clown Posse was born. They started to wear the clown makeup. They're weird looking motherfuckers, aren't they? The clown makeup and the dreads.
Well, do you know, there is a kind of precedent within Detroit rock culture for the face paint. You know, you got like Kiss are from Detroit. Alice Cooper from Detroit. Alice Cooper does the intro speech at the start of this.
Yeah.
So there's a through line if you look for it. I like to think of Insane Clown Posse as a reaction to Motown. You know, because Motown, Motown was this kind of factory made, like from the peak of Detroit when it was a automobile factory town.
Motown, yeah.
Then, when the auto industry in America failed, thanks Reagan and Thatcher, that was over here.
Thanks, Barack Obama.
Okay. Is that your new thing? Call it that?
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Do people say that? Or is
Yeah,
that
the
something
Chapo guys call him Obama.
okay. Shout out to the Trapo Chap House.
The Trapo Chap House.
Yes. And that's what they're called. And so then, you know, Detroit and Michigan became a real downtown. It's like people go there for like post-apocalypse holidays. They just go. It's called like not poverty tourism, but like pretty much poverty tourism. And they go there just to be like, this place is fucked, and like this is like, you know, this is then. So this is like real people who have been like destroyed, crushed by capitalism, and they're just in the wreckage going, I have nothing. What, I need to make something and make something of myself.
So let's make clown music about raping women. That's what this is.
Right, okay, that's one way of looking at it.
There's so much of that.
There's
like,
no raping. There's a lot of sexual assault, but there's no raping, I don't think.
Across their musical oeuvre.
I'm not talking about the oeuvre, I'm talking about the Great Milenko. Milenko.
Which was...
Can I just tell you, by
No,
the way,
I'm just going to finish what I was saying.
okay, do that.
That's named after a wrestler.
Sure is. Great Milenko. They got the surname from Dean Milenko.
Yeah.
PWI.
But I think I remember Dean Milenko, would I? If I
Really? Did you watch WCW? Oh, WWF in 2000, they came over as part of the Radicals faction with Eddie Guerrero, Perry Saturn.
That's where I remember it from. That's about when I was watching.
He was the Iceman.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah. So he was an interesting thing with Dean Malenko. Don't know how interesting it'll be to you, but Pro Wrestling Illustrated, PWI, every year they do the PWI 500 for the last 40 years where they rank wrestlers, and they always done it according to kayfabe. Now, kayfabe is carny speak because you do the ixnay on the isnay type stuff. And kayfabe is carny speak for fake. So you need to keep it, kayfabe means keep it real. But one year they decided, let's not just have the person who's booked to win kayfabe be the number one. So it kind of ranks your fake career. Let's have the actual best wrestler be ranked number one. And everybody thought Dean Malenko was absolutely fantastic wrestler. He doesn't have a lot of personality, but he just made everything really crisp and powerful looking, and you believed it. They put him number one. Everybody was like, never do that again. It fucking sucks. That guy. How's that guy number one and Hulk Hogan's number 5 when Hulk Hogan's been world champion for the whole year? Insane. Anyway, They liked his surname. They took the Milenko from Dean Milenko. They called it the Great Milenko, who's his character, the fourth card of the Dark Carnival lore.
Right. Yeah. Let's not jump between too much
laws.
laws.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
excited.
Yeah. Is but the Dean Malenko's dad was a wrestler called the Great Milenko, was he not?
Dean Malenko's father, second generation wrestler, perhaps third generation. He was called the Great Boris Milenko. And I don't know if a commentator's mentioned that and they've picked it up on WCW Nitro and then they've, subconsciously they've taken the Great Milenko into their brain. I would imagine so. But isn't life just full of these beautiful coincidences where sometimes happenstance
Yeah. So
conjures magic?
yeah. So this is their third album.
This is their fourth album, the
Fourth
fourth
album.
card and the initial 6-card deck of the
So
Dark
their whole
Carnival.
thing is that their music is like the giant multi-album concept of the music is from the Carnival of Horrors.
The Dark Carnival lore.
Yeah, and each album is sort of based around a different fictional character, and it's all tales of morality. And but once you look into what that means, it doesn't make much sense.
It
most of the
does
time.
make a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
This is the Great Milenko. Now, previously we had what's the guy's name? The box guy. There's a Jack in the Box character,
Right.
And life, according to that, I think that's the third one. Life, according to the Jack in the Box character, is
Riddle box.
Riddle Box. Thank you very much. Juggalo in the corner, Cobsy.
I want to die.
So Riddle Box, life is all about winding up that Jack in the Box, and you don't know until you get to the afterlife whether or not it's going to be a good head or a bad head. Is that not just what life's like?
I think that says a lot about society.
So this character, the Great Milenko, he's an illusionist. He's an illusionist, man. He's a neuromancer. He's a necromancer. But he doesn't bring bodies back to life. He brings minds back to life. So you might think you've lived your life, you've done bad things, and you're dead, and that's over and done with. The Great Milenko will bring your mind back to life and make you witness unbelievable horrors for eternity.
See, I think you've pitched a better, more interesting version of this than the album
This
does.
is all there.
It's
Do you not hear something like that? This is a 6-album trip. We'd always like, this album's good, but it's not really an album. A 6-album sectology of morality where the apocalypse is being conjured by these 6 different playing card characters and it's all warped.
you know what it is though. It's like it's like a real basic, undeveloped version of lots of previous, carnival.
Like what? Goosebumps?
I mean, yes, but also the Killing Joke. There's a lot of that in here.
No, I don't think so.
Well, there is. I mean, that's the Joker and all that. This is music for people who have a sincere painting of the Joker up in their bedroom.
You said that the other day. You were like, oh, this is for people who share Joker memes. I would actually say this is for people who have the Joker tattooed on their chest.
Yeah.
But it's like the fucking Heath Ledger Joker and the Jared Leto Joker, and they're both jacking off. And the coming out both their cocks spells out, fuck my life.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't think it is.
It's and listen, there is a kind of thing you go, oh, this
You're
is...
fucking at it, by the
I'm
way.
not fucking at it. I think this is so cool, man. This is like...
You don't think it's... No, okay, but here's the thing, okay? What all you've just said, and if you're watching or listening and you've never heard any of the music, then I will forgive you for thinking, hey, that does sound a little bit interesting.
That is interesting.
Then put on the music and hear the way they scream, I don't beat women, fuck that, I'm above it, but I'll cut her fucking neck and think nothing of it.
It's shocking. I like transgressive art, horror films and stuff like that.
Sure, right?
It's not. I like American Psycho. I'm not saying that's my favorite book. That's what life's like. I kill cunts. I want to kill cunts. I'm saying it's nice to dip your toe into transgression and go. Oh, it doesn't feel nice, but you get the rush. The
Right,
buzz.
okay,
I remember
but
reading American
the-
Psycho on Barcelonian public transport, and even though everybody around me was Spanish, I was still like, I shouldn't be fucking reading this, man. There's a bit in American Psycho where they put a fucking tube up a woman and then they put a rat up the tube and it eats her alive inside out. I don't like that, but I like dipping my toe in it. And going,
Okay. But
up.
what we need to separate here is that just because something's shocking, it doesn't give it like intrinsic value. So something like American Psycho, or you talk about all those like bro film movies like Fight Club or anything like that, or Clockwork Orange or stuff like that, stuff which has deliberately transgressive, shocking imagery or violent things.
A woman gets raped in
absolutely
Clockwork Orange,
right. But I'm not saying that you can't look at those things without them being. I mean, that was Stanley Kubrick. It was still an amazing film. This music is bad.
I don't think it is that bad.
It is poor. The rapping is bad rap, and it's bad metal.
There's not a lot of metal on here. There's some rock music. They get Slash in to play guitar on Hall of Illusions, and that's quite cool. They get Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols to play guitar on Peggy Pie, which is a criticism of the American police force. And, Disney put this record out. Walt Disney.
Well, they started to, and then they shat the bed.
Yeah.
Because
you heard about the furore over Disney putting this out, because there was this movement from like social conservatives at the time in America where they were criticising Disney a lot because they started having LGBT days. They weren't called that at the time, they're called gay days.
Gay days. It still happens. It's the first Sunday in June, I believe, in Disney parks is like a day where, it was organised outside of Disney. Big pro LGBT day. If you are gay, go to Disney on this day, and it's a big party.
There's a goth day as well, where it's just goths.
A goth day at Disney.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. Chuck Klossner writes about it in one of his books. It's really cool.
That sounds good.
And then he goes. That's fun. So there was that. Then there was a guy got fired from Disney, but they didn't like get him to stop working on stuff. So he snuck in. If you look at the VHS cover of The Little Mermaid, there is a secret cock. One of the towers resembles very strongly the human phallus.
Yeah. I've seen that on Snopes.
I've seen it on Snopes. True.
Green.
I used to read Snopes all the time.
It's gone off. It's fell off Snopes.
Snopes has fell off, man. I love that list of all the people who've died in Disneyland.
Yeah, okay.
It's great. You need to check it out. A lot of people have died there. Anyway, there was all these people criticising them, and they got a bit of heat. They were co-owners of this record label called Hollywood Records, a subsidiary of Disney Media. And then once this went out, they made changes to it. Like Peggy Pie had more cop killing in it. And then they went, could you change one of the cops to a judge? And they were like, fair enough.
Having Disney tell you to water down your cop-killing music to appease the Southern Baptist Church... That's rock and roll.
No, you gotta do it. You gotta make money. If you're a poor guy for Detroit, your mum's a janitor, you're eating food, you're in gangs and shit. This is your one chance, man.
Yeah.
Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You gotta lose yourself.
So what do you think about the fact that they did this song called, I think it's called The Unveiling?
Not on this record.
Not on this record. 20 years into their career, they did a song that basically announced to all their fans, and we'll talk about the Juggalos soon, that this whole time, everything they've written has actually been coded Christian messaging, and they are actually evangelical Christians.
Makes total sense to me because it is so moral, isn't it? All these figures, the Great Milenko, the illusionist. What was Christ, if not an illusionist himself?
John Ronson interviewed them about this and said...
John Ronson. What's his voice?
I'm John Ronson. I'm sat here with the Insane Clown Posse, and I was wondering, when you wrote all these things about beating up women and hurting them in their sleep, were you actually saying, if you claim to be Christian, that these are bad things to do? That's a question he puts to them, and they go, huh?
Sure.
And he goes, are you saying that you shouldn't do these things? And they go, no, they're just jokes. They're just jokes.
Yeah. It's a flipped version of Christianity. Here's all the worst things you can do. Here's all the worst things you can say to women. Here's all the worst ways you can kill people.
No. You are putting words in their mouth now.
I'm not. It's obvious. It's obvious.
But
Do you think the skit where the guy phones up saying that he wants to kill himself and he goes, "You should kill yourself"? Do you think they sincerely mean that?
No,
No,
that's not what
it's
I'm
a
saying.
joke.
But it's ludicrous for you to claim that that's actually anything to do with their now sudden deciding that they're Christian when they themselves couldn't bring themselves to say that. They just go, huh? They are two dummies. They
They're not
are.
dumb. This is like when people go, "Oh man, have you seen that Batman from the fucking 60s and he's so goofy in it?" It's like, he was supposed to be goofy. They weren't trying to make a serious Batman and fucked it up. They wanted to make a goofy Batman and it was a joke. And you don't get the joke, no offense. You don't get the joke because you're an idiot. You know, I'm not saying you're an idiot. I'm saying you haven't thought about it enough, like an idiot would. So
Hang on. So across all of we've did some research just before this to try and find a glowing blurb for this album. We failed. It was universally critically panned by everybody.
I looked up what is the best Insane Clown Posse album, and this is what came up.
Yeah, it's a low bar because they're all bad, okay? None of them are good. Nobody thinks they're good. Are you telling us that you have a magical insight that no one else has managed to, apart from juggalos, who are, by and large, disenfranchised young white boys? Are you saying that you have more insight than anyone else who's reviewed it so far, or any other?
I think there's a great bit in one of the documentaries about them. It's called, listen, we've all heard of documentaries, haven't we? We've all heard of rockumentaries.
You're fucking at it, man.
We've all heard of mockumentaries. Have you ever heard of a shockumentary? This is called shockumentary, and it's phenomenal. What was the question again?
There is no question, okay?
No, you were saying, there's a bit where he goes, everybody says we're shit, most hated band in America.
Mm-hmm.
We're not on Lollapalooza. We're not on MTV. We're not on the radio. If you want this, come and find it, and we're open. But we're not trying to get to anybody who isn't interested in us. This is just for people who want to dip their toe. I dipped my toe this week. I found a lot to love. I found a lot of creativity in the music. See the song The Nedding Game, where they do like a fake dating show, and the first verse is Shaggy 2 Dope, and then the second verse is Violet J, and then they team up to do like a compete for this girl's affections with the most, horrific language possible. There is a bit where he says, he goes to the girl's house to have dinner with her family, and he says, "Your titties are big for a 13-year-old." That was fucked up. Very funny though. Did I laugh when I heard it? Yes, because it's outrageous. It's supposed to be outrageous. This isn't the way they really are. It's like wrestling. Stone Cold Steve Austin didn't really kill his boss or attack his boss with a bedpan when his elderly boss was in hospital, smashed a bedpan over his head. That's not how he really feels. It's outsized, unreal characters that you can buy into.
But I don't think there's anything that these
You don't
guys...
think they're smart enough to put in this double meaning?
Correct.
Right. So you think
because that is based on evidence. There is nothing I could find anywhere, and this is everyone's problem with them, that suggests they are anything other than doing all this at face value. That's not to say that the jokes aren't jokes. Obviously, the jokes are jokes, but they obviously they don't see anything wrong with a lot of this really horrific, misogynistic, violent imagery. The song, what's the song that they're doing this? They have a song, "What is a Juggalo," which
Loved
is
it.
basically instructions to their fans about how they should beat up people and act like dickheads. Right, but then what's that quote about satire? The satire has to have a meaning of purpose, otherwise, lest it be confused with what it's supposed to be satirizing, right? So, like, if you are in a band and you are, on stage in front of 2,000 people who are idolizing you, and they're all drunk, and you're throwing fucking, shit American Fanta at them, and you're
so
going...
this is someone you talk about, it's Fago.
And you're going, if you want to be a juggalo, you should beat people up. Do you think all the kids there are going, yes, that's a good satirical thing about capitalism?
Here's another thing that they say in that.
You're addicted.
If you want to be a juggalo, get butt naked, put a 2-litre bottle of Fago between your butt cheeks, tie a rope to your dick, and then jump off a building. You think that's sincere instructions as to how to be a juggalo?
No.
They're making fun of people who don't understand the juggalo subculture.
Yeah,
They're saying, here's what you think a juggalo is.
It's like 4chan humor, though, isn't it? And it's like that's
funny.
the same thing that 4chan users would say about their whole white power Donald Trump fandom is like, oh, you just don't get it. Like the white power sign, like we invented that as a joke, but then it becomes that, you know? Like
I remember the first time I seen a juggalo in real life. I was in George Square. I was waiting on a train to get home. I was at college. And I was in George Square, and I looked across George Square, and there was a statue in the middle, and there was this guy, ginger guy, pale as milk, off milk. And on his chest, he had the hatchet tattoo. It was ginger, skinny, like a rake. And he had this girl. He was with a guy, had this arm around this girl. She was beautiful. And I thought, what the fuck's going on here, man? You guys are juggalo? I've heard about them on the internet. Losers? And I was like, what the fuck's going on, man? I judged that guy. Now I see his value.
you're addicted to hot takes.
I'm not addicted to hot takes.
You love to be a contrarian. You were at it with the Spice Girls saying it was a brilliant album. You were at it with fucking Robbie Williams in the Patreon saying it was the fucking best Britpop album. You have a problem. You have a hot take problem, and you need a fucking cold bath and a calm down, because this is bad music. It is universally derided as bad music. It's bad hip hop. It's bad fucking rock metal. Whatever it is, there are so many better versions of it everywhere else.
What's your favourite type of horrorcore? What's the better version of this?
I like Ishan, man.
Also, this album is platinum with over 1.7 million copies sold.
Yeah.
I don't
trust
think
the general public? Okay, Brexit was a good idea, wasn't it? They voted for that, so that's great.
If you look at where these boys come from, not specifically this town, but Flint, Michigan, where the drinking water has been
Are
poisoned.
they from Flint?
No, but they're from Michigan.
Right, so okay.
They've played shows in Flint. Huge fan base there. This is...
You're on it. You're a huge fan base there. That's bollocks.
They do.
Where
They
have
do.
you got that from?
I read
You've
about
made that up.
No.
You fucking have.
They mentioned playing a sold-out show in Flint. I'm just going to say this. Here's what struck me. See, when I was listening to the first...
Michael Moore's a juggalo.
See, when the intro with Alice Cooper, another shock rock legend, who didn't really want to cut women's heads off. He was just singing songs about it.
But had the musical talent to back up the jokes.
So in the first song, it starts off, introduces the character, the Great Milenko, the illusionist. And there's like rednecks in a bar, and they're like playing pool, listening to country music, and it's like, come on down, and he's like, put something on the jukebox.
Is this Piggy Pie?
No. This is the intro.
They talk about rednecks fucking their sisters.
Yes. That is not the song I'm talking about. But all through it, there's this anti-redneck thing. And it's like, this music is for poor white people who hate white power. Like, they hate the Confederate flag. They hate being a redneck. They don't like country music. They're disenfranchised. And this is a way of going, hey, you don't like all that fucking repressed shit where you can't have sex and you can't express yourself. And this is going... You know, there's another way of doing it. You can be a freak. You can join the carnival. Even if it's just for an hour a year when you come to the shows. You can, like, celebrate who you are. You don't have to be ashamed of who you are. You don't have to pretend to be, like...
Do you think there's much wiggle room for self-expression at the Juggalo shows beyond dressing as a
all
Juggalo
about
show?
self-expression. If you go to a gathering of the Juggalos, it's like Burning Man. It's like people with their tits out, people with their dicks out, painted like clowns, doing disgusting acts to each other in public. It's horrific. Everybody's sticky because they're covered in Faygo. I mean, it's all about self-expression.
So Faygo is the drink that they sang about a few times in some songs, and then we're like, oh, we should drink this live on stage since we drink it. And then
So here's what it is. If you're poor and you can't afford Coca-Cola, you can't afford Pepsi, you get the local own brand Pepsi soft drinks, which was called Faygo. Iron Brew... You know, there was times growing up, I wouldn't have Iron Brew, I would have Highland Brew, the inferior own brand, or I'd have Iron Brew from Morrison's.
Yeah, I've had that.
Hard times.
Roller Cola.
Do you have, is there any Dagenham equivalent to like a shit local?
Dagenham equivalent?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Dagenham Brew.
There should be.
My dad makes that in the bar.
No, but we have bars. Do you not have like a local shit own brand cola?
I think it was just Panda Pops or whatever, but you know, it's London, so everything's
Everything's good.
well, not everything's good, but there are shit versions of stuff, but they are just more. You know, we didn't have like bars though. That's a specifically Scottish thing. It's more the Americanized versions of stuff. So Faygo apparently tastes like Fanta grape.
Ugh, is it like Fanta grape? Tried it, didn't like it.
So let's talk about the juggalos. They were.
This is the fan base, and to me, juggalo nothing more than a portmanteau of juggler and gigolo. They're sexy circus people.
Yeah, they have been accused of it purposely sounding a bit like the word jigaboo, which is a slur.
I don't think that's true.
Would have been
I'm sure they've been accused of it.
Yeah, okay. And they were legally classed as a gang by the FBI.
Oh, you're on the side of the FBI now.
I'm just saying that's what they were accused of. I'm not saying it's right. In fact, this is one of the few things I agree with the ICP on. They sued the FBI and said it's outrageous that people who come in to enjoy a music show should feel like threatened that they're going to be followed or arrested or targeted purely for enjoying a certain type of music, and that's really fucked up. And that, I was like, yeah, you're right, that is wrong. Okay, it's just a shame your music's terrible. You're never going to listen to this again.
I don't know. I really like some of it.
Why would you listen to this one? There's 6 other cards to listen to. Like,
yeah, I need to get the other cards, man.
The Joker cards.
Do you know what? I loved. What is this podcast about? It's about trying new types of music and enjoying them.
September 11th, that's what the podcast is about.
Mostly it's about wrestling, September 11th, and West Ham United, right? That seems to be the point.
Yeah.
Just telling trivia about our interests and then saying it's about music. I have always wanted to try these guys out. I went into it thinking this is going to be a daft laugh. I found so much richness, creativity. Like, I just dug it, man, you know?
I just think any interesting bit is spoilt by the shock value. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that movie, A Serbian Film.
What?
Which was made purely...
There was no joy in that. That was torture porn.
Sure, right? But it is shock value over anything else. And it is shock first, everything else later. And I remember when I first watched it, I was living with a reviewer who was actually studying reviewing at the time. And he was...
Who's this?
He's a guy I used to live with. His name was Andy. He's a nice guy. I was good friends with him. But, you know, sometimes he'd get really into his, like, he'd put his reviewer's hat on and try and do this real devil's advocate thing with everything. And
I'm sure that's very tiring.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Luckily, I don't have to deal with that anymore. And we watched it, and if you've not seen it, it's an awful film. I mean,
worst things imaginable. Incest.
Yeah, and really like gory, like
forced,
you say,
violent, bloody incest.
Torture porn.
Yeah.
There is a part where one guy fucks someone in the eye socket, and like, you know, this isn't like, oh, maybe that's what's happening. Like, it's very like gratuitously visual. And we finished the film, and I said, "That's one of the worst things I've ever seen." And he said, "Yeah, but what was going on at Serbian politics at the time?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Not eye fucking."
No, but maybe something bad.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
But like...
What do you think about that film, Salo?
I haven't seen it. Let me finish. Just... If there is like moments of it that are interesting or born from an interesting background, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is good. And this is the perfect example of that. Everything you say about there needing to be music for like a sort of forgotten white working class or whatever, right? That's fine. But that does not automatically mean the music is good, because it isn't.
No, I'm not saying that's why it's good. I like it because it's daft, funny, and I like...
Do you think it's funny, really, Christopher? Look, you really go down in my estimation if you actually found like parts of this funny.
I thought it was really funny when he was talking about putting a big 2-litre bottle of juice between his bum and being naked. That's fun. You think that's funny?
Yeah. What do you think that was code for in terms of their actually everything is all about?
So I think the song "What Is a Juggalo" is them being like, everybody keeps asking us, "What is a juggalo?" Here's what it is. And it's just a bunch of insane stuff that it couldn't possibly be. And there's a bit where he's like, "You can call me a fat fucking loser, and I'll call you your name," because that is what the Insane Clown Posse is all about. It's like, if you are an outsider, if you are a freak, if you are made to feel little by everybody in mainstream society, you can come over here. We're freaks. Nobody judges you here.
Yeah, unless you're a woman.
Unless you're a woman. Oh man, I need to show you this fucking Unhinged YouTube comment of the week. This was for This was for the video of House of Horrors, I think. No, it was for Piggy Pie, I believe. And then this girl's done a homemade Insane Clown Posse video that she's made from like 10 years ago.
Right.
And it's just her in a studio with the makeup on, and she's singing, mouthing along with the words. And it's like, she's a good little girl. Mm-hmm. This guy 7 years ago, Derek Miltimore.
Derek Miltimore from Baltimore.
Yeah. This is our Unhinged YouTube comment of the week. Derek says, by no means am I into the juggalo lifestyle, but I must give props when they are due. Your makeup is clean as hell, and you're hot, so it's all working. You made me think of my old friend Alyssa, who was a juggalette. Had the hots for that girl like no other. R.I.P. Alyssa. Miss you, girl.
Oh, I knew she was dead. The second he said it, I knew she was dead. A juggalette.
She's a juggalette.
So here's the thing. This is
Women
how, this
love
is how
this
I
shit.
No, this is how I know that there is no broad appeal to women about this.
Insane.
I've just done
Watch any footage.
I've just done a week's worth of research on this band, and it's the first time I've come across the word juggalette.
No
okay?
way, man. If you watch any of the documentaries, there's women all over the place.
It's honestly, it's bad music. The rapping is not even good.
It's funny.
Right. Is the rapping good?
Yeah.
Is it?
It's funny.
Do you think? No, that's different. Is it good rapping?
May I interject? As a lifelong rap fan, no.
Thank you, Cobin.
Technically speaking, no.
Yeah.
Is it entertaining at times? Sometimes.
Thank you very much, Coben. And I'll tell you what, this podcast isn't good music finder.
What do you mean?
I'm not here to find good music.
That's exactly what you're here for.
I'm here to enjoy an album. I enjoyed an album. You didn't. I fucking done my job this week. I don't know what you've been up to. Try to find things to enjoy. You can either walk around going, I don't like bad stuff. Man, I liked it. Let's see some tattoos. With two guys reviewing tattoos. We're gonna Google image searching and we'll choose if it's tattoo woohoo or tattoo boohoo. We're judging the ink, yeah, that's what we do. Do full sleeve or face tats, big skull or wing bat. You pick the design, is it bad or just fine? Or dragon or a skull, pretentious or dull. You will not hide, and we will decide if it's tattoo woohoo or tattoo boohoo, yeah. Alright, so this is the main two guys.
Right, I'm begging audio listeners to come and have a look at these two.
This is them when they're a wee bit older. This is good because I couldn't actually get this big on my computer. I think this is like a carnival. This is like the big wheel, and this is a roller coaster. This is like a tentacle coming up.
It looks like a bird.
It's not a bird. This is the one I really like though. This is like
describe
on his
it.
knuckles he has like the playing card suites. So it's like a club and a diamond and like I dug it. And this is the kind of trademark. This is the one I saw on that guy's chest on George Square when I was 16, and I made all those judgments about that boy.
A silhouette of a juggalo. It looks like a sort of Pinocchio with his big long nose.
No, you've seen it. Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Anyway,
okay.
What do you think about the haunted theme park?
The
cool.
silhouette of the haunted theme park reminds me of Monkey Island. So
your favorite video game of all time?
So no, I think I actually think that is. I like the dark silhouette. It would be very easy if you were going to have some sort of carnival tattoo to go for really bright colours and to go for the silhouette of it.
It's quite subtle.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean. Do you know what? As far as someone wearing white and black face paint goes, that this is as subtle as I think they're capable of.
I'm going to give it a woohoo.
Oh yeah, it's a woohoo from me.
The next one, I couldn't find a lot of like close-ups of their tattoos, so I found a tattoo of like a fan. So this is, yeah. So we'll go to the next one. So this is a fan.
For fuck's sake. This is the worst tattoo we've ever looked at. Straight away.
This is a fan who's had hash leaves tattooed on his face, but then he's also had the juggalo face paint tattooed onto his head.
You like the same music as this guy.
Some of it.
Yeah.
Don't think this guy like Godspeed You Black Emperor.
They don't put tattoos on my face anymore.
Godspeed You Black face paint on this guy, man. Jesus Christ. Lift your funny snouts to heaven and smoke them like heaven, man. Here we go. Right. So if you can't see it, he has the juggalo face paint on forever, and he has 3 hash leaves tattooed. 1 on his cheek, 2 on his forehead.
Yeah.
Left the other side of his face free for other ideas.
Who knows?
Guy's 54. Found that out. 54 years old.
Yeah.
And he's pointing at it as if to say, "Look at this. This is cool, isn't it?" What are you giving this? A boohoo or a woohoo?
This is the worst tattoo, not only that we've covered, that I've ever seen. Face tattoos in general, boohoo. I've never seen a good face tattoo.
I like it. I'm going to give it a woohoo.
No, come on,
No, I'm kidding on. It's a boohoo. He's went too far. He's went too far.
This is, you know what? It just has made me realise. This is music for. Do you remember? Is it Badger and Skinny Pete from Breaking Bad?
Badger and Bodger.
No, Badger and Skinny.
One of them ate mashed potatoes all the time.
Yeah. They would like. Bodger and Badger.
Bloody hell, Badger.
La 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 la. It's Bodger and Badger.
Badger and Badger. Smash up your titties with an axe.
This is music for people who have a YouTube playlist called Insane
Posse. Yes, it is.
Vape Tricks, and they watch the like vape cloud blowing tournament every year.
Listen, I found beauty in it. And I don't know why you're not happy for me.
Look. I mean, we're here to discuss music. I mean, it's fine if we disagree sometimes. This week, you happen to be wrong, and that's okay.
Okay. Did you hear about the? No. I had that story about how Eminem and them had a big feud.
Oh yeah, we can talk about
You
that.
hear about that?
Yeah, we can summarise it. Eminem was flying before he'd really made it for an upcoming gig, and he handed the flyer to one of the Insane Clown Posse, and they noticed that on it said Eminem featuring also Insane Clown Posse, maybe.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "What do you mean Insane Clown Posse, maybe? We haven't agreed to be on your show." And he said, "Well, that's why I'm asking. That's why it says maybe." Mm-hmm. And they said, "No, if you'd have asked us, maybe we would have, but now we're not going to." And that started a beef between the two of them. Which Eminem recorded a skit on the Marshall Mathers LP, the Ken Kampf skit, and this is as lazy and puerile as Eminem gets, really, and although probably considered high art.
Well, I think a lot of your criticisms of the group could also be laid at the feet of Eminem, and yet he's kind of held up, not
I agree.
necessarily by you, but popular culture by large, as some kind of
agree.
hip-hop Elvis figure.
Well, I agree that a lot of his stuff is lazy and misogynist. He is, however, an incredible rapper, and that's the difference.
He's more technically proficient. I don't think he's more creative. I think he has more ideas.
Come on, no, I would disagree with that as well. Right. These guys have one idea.
No, that's not true. There's loads of ideas all over the place here.
Yeah. There's the carnival
I honestly
idea.
was so impressed by the fact
theme park idea,
the dating game sketch. That was so cool. And
anyway,
then Hallelujah.
Let me finish. Have you heard the skit on the Marshall Mathers LP?
No.
Oh God Almighty!
What does it do?
It's basically just blowjob noises. It's just it's that. You get that guck compilation. And the person like who's being sucked off is a character that Eminem has called Ken Kampf, and I think Ken Kampf's character is basically a gay man. That's it. And he's being sucked off, and he's saying, "Oh, thank you. Yeah, suck my dick, Violent J. Yeah, Shaggy too dope. Suck my dick." And then he says, "Oh, say my name." And instead of saying Ken Kampf, they say Eminem. Skits in general.
ICP recruited Detroit rap group Twisted, and they released a diss towards Slim, the infamous Slim Anus.
They really got him. Slim Anus.
Very funny.
If your best you can come up with is Slim Anus, I think that really says everything you need to know about their ability with words.
I liked it. I liked listening to it for a week.
Yeah, that's not the same as thinking it's actually good though.
We're not doing that. That's not what the podcast is. Anyway, every week we put 2 records on the playlist.
Yeah.
2 songs from the record and then 2 songs inspired by our conversation.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about so much today. I'm sure you'll find something to stick on the playlist that isn't the Cockney Rejects. So bear that in mind. What are you going to put on from the album? Doesn't sound like you enjoyed a lot of.
I would like to veto this week. I don't want to add anything from this album onto the playlist because I think it's all bad. I don't want to. It's like, and I wish I thought of the idea of vetoing before because still, every time I'm listening to the playlist and John Mayer comes on, I press skip and I'm like, what's the point adding another song that I'm just going to skip?
Maybe we can do an extra thing for the Patreons, which is us going through the playlist and pruning certain roses of their thorns.
Maybe if I had to put something on, it would be Hocus Pocus. But this is what annoys me about.
You don't have to put it on. If you put on 2 bonus tracks, I tried to do that once and you didn't let me.
Well,
but
let
I'm
me
happy
explain.
to
Let me
put
talk
you
about
on
Hocus
there.
Pocus, okay? Because that has what looks like it's going to be an interesting because it's like them rapping over that, which you know is or quite Eminem-ish actually. It's interesting, but then their voices and the noises they make, the laughing is so fucking irritating to listen to, and that is ICP summed up. Any good idea ruined by their own foolishness and personalities.
I'm going to put on Hall of Illusions featuring the guitarist from Guns N' Roses, Slash.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. It's about the idea of let's take a walk down the hallway. It takes all day, fucking dolly. And it's about like walking through, your whole life is walking through this hall of mirrors full of illusions. And you get to the chair at the end of it, you're strapped in, and they show you. You think because you're dead, you don't need to see the rest of your life. They show you what happens to your kids. And first they show you them going to college, having kids, being doctors. And then they go, oh, it's just another fucking illusion. And it shows you your son and your daughter are doing crack and sucking each other off. Selling each other crack. Funny as fuck. Because you're a bad bastard. Just like his dad who left. Disgraceful.
My second song is going to be another song called Hocus Pocus by the band Focus.
It's already on the playlist.
Is it really?
Yeah.
For fuck's sake, I keep doing that. I only know 5 songs.
Yeah, you only know 5 songs. I nearly put on for the Iron Maiden episode another new wave of British heavy metal track called Blitzkrieg by Blitzkrieg, which
That's
is also...
it's already on the playlist. We only know 5 songs.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. In that case, maybe I'll put on an Eminem song from the Marshall Mathers.
Mark Jennings' Bagsy, the Marshall Mathers EP for Eminem. So that'll be on the playlist at some point as well.
Okay, I'll put on. What's the Eminem and Aerosmith song? Dream On.
Yes.
Dream On.
Hey, 2 Detroit classic groups. Why not?
Yeah,
Can't wait to do Aerosmith.
absolutely. Get my brother on.
That's Sing for the Moment.
Sing for the moment.
I can't believe you think that's better than this, man.
I don't. I was panicking and I had to
Is-
choose something. Don't tap me. Stop touching me.
Is Poison by Alice Cooper on it yet?
I think so.
Yeah. Is Detroit Rock City by Kiss on it yet?
There's a Kiss song on there, but I can't remember.
It's probably Strutter. I might just put 2 for the record on. That would be good. That would improve the playlist. I'm going to put Yonkers.
You're so at it. You're so at it.
Yonkers by Tyler,
Yonkers
the
by
Creator.
Dizzy Rascal.
No, Yonkers by Tyler, the Creator. That's a kind of modern
Is Yonkers not in New York?
horrorcore. Yeah.
Okay.
The theme isn't Detroit.
Okay. All right.
So that was a kind of modern horrorcore sound. And
Right.
I think it's a lot better than this in terms of musical creativity, and also his performance is a lot better. He's a more talented rapper. He eats a cockroach and hangs himself.
Do you know what I'm going to put on?
What?
Immortal Technique.
Uh-huh.
Dance with the Devil.
Oh, sorry.
Corbin just came in his pants.
It's Coben.
Corbin just came in his pants.
Yeah.
Baron
Oh,
Corbin.
no, that wasn't it. That wasn't a good one. I was like, oh, that's... You think one of these ones is going to mess up the vibe of the playlist.
Yeah, but Dance with the Devil by Immortal Technique does what these guys are trying to do so much better.
Yeah.
It is dark horror storytelling, really fucked up.
Oh.
It has the misogynistic language. It has the violent imagery, but it is done, it is rapped really well. As a hip hop fan, like Immortal Technique, very well respected. And it is, what's the song? Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 diddle, ding. It's got that horror vibes to it. So that's what I'm going to put on. Gareth War actually showed me that song once in a car journey on the way to Aberdeen. I was like, what the? Idris Elba, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Gareth Waugh, who will be appearing on the podcast shortly. But well, there we have it. Did you enjoy an album this week?
No, I didn't.
I
Dislike
get
it.
kick out it.
Wish I'd never. No, I think I'm glad I listened to it because now I have a new baseline for how much I could dislike something. So I've learned something. There's elements of it that I think were okay.
Like what?
I liked some of the beats. Do you know what I mean? That they chose to rap
The
over.
guy who does the production is really good, I think.
And I generally think the
Mike Reed, I think his name is.
idea, the concept is, I think
I love
okay.
I love Lower.
Yeah, I just think it's like fucking meth goosebumps and wait, there's much better things to.
I've always wanted to try meth, and I've always loved the goosebumps.
There's much better things you can spend your time listening to. Thank you for listening. What are we listening to next week? Do we know? No. Okay,
Next week it's going to be Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots by the Flaming Lips.
Okay. If you want to talk about lore, then
Can't wait to get in some story time there, man.
sci-fi fucking Japanese end of world alien battle. Let's go. Thank you very much for listening. Don't listen to the Insane Clown Posse. Have yourself a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.
Peace and love in the new millennium.